Welcome to the Review That Dripped Blood. I'm your host, Jeffrey Woods, and today we'll be taking a closer look at the 1979 horror comedy Love at First Bite, which was directed by Stan Dragoti and written by Robert Kaufman and Mark Gins, with characters based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. It features an all-star cast, including such notable names as Susan St. James, Richard Benjamin, Dick Shawn, Artie Johnson, and George Hamilton as Count Dracula, with cameos by Sherman Hemsley and Isabel Sanford. Love at First Bite follows the Count and his faithful servant Renfield to modern-day New York in search of supermodel Cindy Sondheim, the reincarnation of Dracula's soulmate. In order to achieve his goal, the pair must stumble their way through the late 1970s nightlife while evading Cindy's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jeffrey Rosenberg, who happens to not only be her psychiatrist, but a descendant of Dracula's old adversary, Professor Van Helsing. So, what do I like about this movie? Honestly, what's not to like? It's beautifully written, and the comedy is top-notch. The cinematography is gorgeous. I love seeing late 1970s New York through the lens of this film. I'll never forget how I felt when I first saw Count Dracula enter the disco in search of Cindy. I felt just as awed and bewildered as he did. Speaking of which, Charles Bernstein did an amazing job with the soundtrack. This was my introduction to disco, and it is without a shadow of a doubt the reason why I love the genre today. The casting in this film is perfect. Casting George Hamilton, a man known for his stunning suntan as Count Dracula, was brilliant. You couldn't ask for anyone more suave or stoic. He manages to make the character sympathetic, and you find yourself rooting for him the entire time. Artie Johnson steals just about every scene he's in with his amazing performance as Renfield. He took Dwight Frye's performance into the 1931 film Dracula and put his own twist on it. He manages to make the character endearing while maintaining his unstable state of mind. I love Susan St. James's portrayal of Cindy Sondheim. Unlike Dracula's previous love interest, she isn't just a helpless damsel in distress with virtually no personality. She's a strong, independent woman who has a successful career, uses her brains and good looks to get what she wants, and doesn't look at marriage and married life as being her end-all be-all. It's an option, something that she may or may not decide for herself, and I believe Dracula's introduction to her does a great job depicting this.
Telling you, Lisa, you did a complete dump on her.
Good evening. But meet me too.
Oh, no, thank you. I already ordered. She put him through 4 years of medical school, 2 years of residency, and a year of internship, and now he won't even take her calls. I'm telling you, my way is better. You meet him if you dig him, you ball him once, and then adios, muchacho.
Richard Benjamin is wonderful in the role of Dr. Jeffrey Rosenberg, Cindy's on-again, off-again boyfriend, who happens to be her psychiatrist. Dr. Rosenberg initially comes off as being sound-minded and professional, but when it comes to Cindy, his jealousy and narcissism quickly emerge when she discusses her sexual exploits, and all professionalism vanishes when he's confronted with evidence that she may be under the influence of a vampire. His concern, mixed with jealousy, quickly turns into obsession, and his sanity begins to unravel. And Dick Shawn gives an unforgettable performance as Lieutenant Ferguson, who finds himself swept up in the situation when Dr. Rosenberg barges into his office and drops the bomb that not only are vampires real, but there's one loose in his city. At first, Ferguson doesn't believe him. He writes him off as a kook and throws him out of the station, but when evidence starts to mount up, he reluctantly agrees to aid Rosenberg in his efforts. To say the least, Dick Shawn and Richard Benjamin are great together. With that being said, I rate this film 10 black chickens out of 10. It would be an understatement to say that this is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not only does it hold up, but it has sentimental value. As a child, I was obsessed with vampires and Count Dracula. When my parents took us to our local mom-and-pop video rental store, I'd always seek out any film related to the subject. The movies I'd brought home would range between Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf to the 1979 remake of Nosferatu starring Klaus Kinski. But the movie I rented the most was Love at First Bite. I rented it so often that I ended up with their VHS copy when the store eventually closed, when big chains like Blockbuster moved into the area. Before I end this review, to emphasize my love for this film, I received a cameo from George Hamilton for my 36th birthday that I'd like to share with you right now.
Jeffrey, happy 36th birthday. I know you liked Love at First Bite. It's one of my favorite movies. And I love the dance scenes. I love doing the dance scenes. But my favorite line in the whole movie was, "In a world without romance, it's better to be dead."
If you enjoyed this review, please click the like button and make sure to subscribe to the Review That Dripped Blood.